Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the Town of Lake Mills regular town board meeting on June 14th, 2016 at 8 p.m. at the Town Hall. I'll call the meeting to order. The notice was posted at the Town Hall, the North End Boat Launch, the cul-de-sac on Finch Brothers Road, and on the town's website. Item 2, adoption of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt June's agenda with the crossed out B under
Old business.
under old business.
I'll second.
All right, is there any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the agenda as corrected, please say aye. Aye, and all opposed, the same sign. The agenda is approved. Item 3, approval of the minutes. I only had one thing here. I thought maybe when I was reading it, we should say in item E under applications, instead of just Ron Jacobson, I thought maybe we should say Jacobson Appraisals. I thought
sure.
that would reflect a little more of
That
what
makes sense.
truly has gone on.
Okay.
I would motion to approve the minutes from the May 10th meeting.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the minutes as corrected, please say aye. Aye, and all opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Item 4, approval of the treasurer's report.
Make a motion to approve June's treasurer's report.
And I'll second that. Are there any questions or concerns? Thank you, Sharon. All in favor of approving the treasurer's report for June of 2016, please say aye. Aye, and all opposed, the same sign. Treasurer's report is approved. Item 5, approval of the general funding vouching.
Make a motion to approve June's disbursements of $54,091.84.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion or any questions?
I just had something on the wood chips. So what is that? I don't remember seeing that before.
Yeah, that was, we talked about it 2 months ago, and that's for NatureLink, where it's a USDA thing where it has to go through a government body. Actually, the Jefferson, we had to bill NatureLink Farms. He paid us, and then
You
we
were billed by the county.
by the county. So it's just a government
pass-through.
formality.
In and out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
in
see
and out.
that. Yeah, okay.
It's goofy.
Yeah, because we don't
And
usually
we
buy $4,000 worth of wood chips in
No.
1 year, so.
And we didn't know that that was the process until a month ago, so it's been kind of hanging out there for a while.
All right, good question. Any other questions? All in favor of approving the disbursements for June 14th, please say aye. Aye, and all opposed, the same sign.
That was the ABM.
Thank you again, Sharon.
You're welcome.
Do you want to give us, or are we waiting for the police department to tell us where we're at with our dog licenses? That all went to the police department, right?
Yeah, there should be about 6 or 7 people who will be getting tickets. We're not licensed, they're licensing their dogs.
All right. Okay, item 6. Why don't you introduce yourself? The police report.
Ryan Walters, I'm one of the sergeants for the Town of Lake Mills Police Department. The primary responsibility is the boat. For the month of May, I guess, we had 52 hours of road patrol for the Town of Lake Mills. Of those 52 hours, 14 3/4 hours were radar. We had 13 new complaints. 26 citations were issued, 1 repair notice was issued, 15 traffic warnings, and 3 assists. As far as the dog license, 3 citations were issued, 2 follow-ups yet for rabies certificates, so 2 pending. For the boat didn't get out until towards the end of May, but we had 44 and a half hours of patrol with 3 citations and 55 warnings. Total boat hours with some exempt and administrative hours came to 51 and a half hours of patrol total. And then we also have the operator's license. You want me to just go over
Sure.
some of these? Okay.
Related?
Couple,
Yeah, can
I
we,
think we better wait.
are you
Maybe
gonna
better
stay?
wait.
Are you gonna stay?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, yeah,
Wait.
we'll do it, yeah.
Wait, and we'll do the liquor and the operator's licenses all together.
All right.
Thank you for coming tonight. Matt had SWAT training, I think, and certainly appreciate the help that you've given us. 55 warnings should not be a surprise to anyone when that flashing light is behind them in their boat, huh? Thank you very much. Item B, Joint Rock Lake Committee Report. Nobody here. I know we have started our Clean Boats, Clean Waters patrols, so no hours probably yet turned in for,
Jeff had some, yeah.
okay.
He's been out a lot.
Just for the public's record, that we are participating in a DNR program called Clean Boats, Clean Waters, which puts 3 inspectors on our lake at different times. They're kind of on their own to work, and what they're doing is working with fishermen, mostly fishermen, and educating them about the spread of invasive species and invasive plants. So we're pretty proud of that program, happy to have that going on. So if you see them at the boat launch, you'll recognize them. They have white t-shirts with
Bright
blue
blue.
lettering and
Other way around.
blue
shirt.
t-shirts with white lettering. Okay. Just so you know what's cooking in the town of Lake Mills. Item C is the Planning Commission report.
Yeah, we had a meeting last Tuesday, June 7th. We had more or less a discussion on the, kind of like a presentation by plans presented by Kason for the Shoreward Hills North Phase 3. And no action was taken, just some recommendations on engineering and things along that line. So that was the only thing we had on the agenda.
I asked them at that point for a timeline of what they might be, when they might be bringing things forward, and sort of outlined the process that we would like to see them stick to, and I have not seen a timeline yet.
Did you get the email from him yesterday, or was it just, I think it was to everybody, wasn't it? Yesterday, he emailed, yesterday or the day before, and said that he was not going to have anything ready for tonight.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
so
yes.
he wants to be on next month's agenda.
So, for those of you who are following that at home or here, that is what we're going to be looking forward to, is a timeline for them. And of course, the engineering review will be conducted by our engineer before we're making any decisions. There may be some replatting that needs to be done, but we're waiting for those details to come forward. Any other committee reports?
Nope.
Okay, item 7, period of public comment and question. This is for the public. If you have anything you would like to bring before the board that is not on the agenda, this is your moment to speak. Go ahead. Tell us who you are and where you live, and we'll go from there.
Sally Jones, Elm Point Road, south side of the lake. I just wanted to let everybody know on July 14th, that's a Thursday, at the City Hall at 6:30 p.m., there will be a forum. It pertains to the pipeline. Brave Wisconsin, in conjunction with WISE Alliance, will be holding a forum on pipeline issues. They're looking to expand the pipeline. It's going to go from 30 feet variance to, I think, 100 feet or 300 feet. They plan on putting some more pipelines down, and that is not getting out to the public. There will be safety, legal issues, and updates will be covered in the forum, and there will also be a canvas of the pipeline of the people that live around there, giving each pipeline family a safety kit, which would include something like a windsock and other things, because I don't know if you know, if there is a leak, you can't use your cell phone, you can't start your car, you can't turn on any lights. You're gone, is what the problem is. Proximity residents within a half mile of a possible spill zone will be given a coupon. They can trade for a safety kit as well at the forum. We will have a firefighter, an environmental attorney, and Elizabeth Ward from the Sierra Club speaking. This is sanctioned by the Sierra Club. If anybody needs any more information, you can call 920-699-5855. 4041 or ourbravewisconsin@gmail.com. I think this is very important. It's going all the way from Wisconsin down to Illinois, and we really need to be on top of this. I talked to Daybreak Foods a couple of weeks ago, and they did not know because it's going to be possibly invading their area too. So you'll have to be aware of this. They've got proof that it's coming through. Also, I didn't know if anybody had seen in the paper about the DNR, some of the tests or the things they have done in the last 10 years. They found out that DNR has not been following through with a lot of things because of, budget cuts and everything. So there's a big concern about our water, the quality of the water, having to do with wells, the CAFO, anything else, industry. So just please be aware, check it out. This past week, there's been a lot on Madison, the public newspaper. So check it out, and I can email Sarah some of the links. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. Anybody else want to speak? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 8, application reviews. Item A is the discussion and a decision on a variance request of Ginger Quant for Mike and Susan Nessman property at W7990 County Highway B. Mr. Drescher is here. He'll speak to us.
Good evening, Chairperson, board members, and Sergeant Walters. Excuse me. Okay. I have a survey map from 2001 that we've been provided copies with. We'd each like to review one. Basically, what Neesman would like to do is be able to sell a landlocked parcel separately from the point of access. They acquired 33 feet of a vacated town road. Oh, Sergeant Walters, would you like that? Why not? Sure. It's late topic. You have jurisdiction, right? So they own 33 feet of a vacated town road, and we're looking at a joint driveway agreement in its basic form, if you guys will be willing to go that direction, and then create 2 access points. But I think they have ambition that's just a little bit broader than that, and if you're not prepared to basically grant that and let them sell a landlocked parcel separate from the access point tonight, so we can actually just move on to the county, then what we'd like to do is actually have the opportunity to resubmit kind of our ideal version through a surveyor and see if there's a solution that will work for everybody.
Okay.
If whatever details you guys are lacking at this point, I mean, Mr. Neesman is here, Michael Neesman, as well as the realtor involved, Ginger Quant. So if whatever information you need from us, and if there's any way that we can move forward, I've been brought in a little bit late, and I'd really like to help solve this problem.
So the only way this could be landlocked is if you sold part of it off, right? Because it's not landlocked right now.
There's separate parcels right now, and that access point is basically shared. They acquired it at the vacation of the town road, and there's a legal ownership question there. Who owns what portion of that? Do they share it? The landlocked parcel is not the cottage in the front. It is the house in the back with the acreage. So right now, the opinion that they've received is that they probably couldn't move forward with a transaction of just one parcel at the expense of the other parcels. There are technically 3 parcels here, one of which, well, 2 of which are technically landlocked because of the vacated road.
The other one's back
So
here.
this is the 3rd parcel back here?
Correct.
Okay. I always wondered about that.
And then the other issue, and this should be presented, is the frontage up front. Whether or not there's a way to kind of parcel off that frontage and actually transact a portion of the back acreage with a portion access to the frontage. So there are a couple of issues here that we need to meet out. Otherwise, the basic form is that we have half of a town road that is owned by the contiguous property member, the owners of the contiguous property, that creates an access point that we need a variance to allow us to access and sell the parcel in the back.
So when you talk about back, this is back or this is back?
That, the triangle is what I'm talking about, where the house is. That's the second living unit, the cottage up front on BB, which is in a non-conforming lot, and there's probably some questions regarding that property, but it is an individual parcel. The back triangle is a separate landlocked parcel based on the ambiguity with regard to what that town road, the vacated town road actually is. Our understanding is that the Niesman own half of the town road. The adjoining owner owns the other half of the town road. So we can't reach that 66 feet of access at this point. But it's kind of a situation that was created by the township. It's just now is the time to address it. Sorry if that was too firm, Chairperson.
Well, it's kind of, a conundrum.
It's a unique property, it absolutely
How
is.
we struggled at the town planning level with it.
Yes,
And we had quite a discussion here when we had our Board of Review about it with our assessor, and he made some suggestions. He stated that if the cottage, let's say it's 009 parcel,
That's correct.
were to burn down or be destroyed in some way, that non-conforming lot would not allow it to be rebuilt,
without a variance. That
without
allows it
some
to
kind
be-
of a variance.
Correct.
And this lot, way back here, I guess I didn't even realize that was part of the mix, is really an unbuildable lot because there's no access to it.
That's correct right now.
And so the way the cow path has been is to share the driveway on the 33 feet in order to get back to either one of those two parcels. And the owners have always been the same. They're not different.
That's correct.
So in order to split it apart, we've got to reconfigure this lot somehow that makes sense.
And your concern specifically is the nonconformance of the southernmost lot, the access point, BB. And that's an issue. It's an issue that should be addressed, but at its base point, we have a landlocked property that they arguably have legal access to. It's an individual parcel at this point, and they should be able to transact that parcel. They should be able to do whatever they want with that parcel because it is in fact not landlocked. So there are issues with regard to this property. We have to figure out the appropriate way to proceed. So
But it's not to interrupt you, but it's not landlocked unless you sell off one of the parcels.
Yeah.
the front parcel, the cottage, as a separate
If
separate
34 or 009 leaves 002, then we have a landlocked parcel.
That's correct. They would be contiguous properties with different owners, basically.
And how is it perceived now when it comes down to lake access?
I think there's a legitimate question there based on what representations have been made in previous transactions. My understanding, based on my view of this survey, is that the frontage is actually associated with the County Highway BB property, the cottage, the most adjacent to BB. That's how I read it. Let's change that. I mean, let's figure
Well,
out
that
a way
would
to...
be your goal,
that-
right? To have lake access for both parcels.
Oh, I mean, we've talked about a number of possibilities with
Yeah.
regard to this property. There's some acreage there, and there's certainly enough of an access point if you don't have to deal with the cottage, and perhaps this is developable in the future. Based on, how much acreage they have, they could build a pretty substantial condominium or something like that.
Yeah.
And at that point, if you have one contiguous property, the lake frontage being attached to it is probably where the most value of it is. The question is whether or not they can sell them as individual properties right now. What they're exploring is their ability as owners.
Did you have a conversation with our assessor?
I did.
To give you some creative ideas?
If we come to him with the right plan, he would
Right.
very much like to talk about it.
Yeah.
His recollection was consistent with what I had heard, and he thought that there were certainly different ways to address this property.
It's not a matter of rezoning the property.
Not at this point, not for this
It's only a
request.
matter of reconfiguring the way the parcels are laid out now.
If that is the result tonight, and it's not as simple as allowing a saleable piece of property that's currently landlocked if we sell out a different parcel, that should be, should be at least available for individual ownership, based on their basic rights as owner of the adjoining parcels. There's plenty of investigation to do moving forward with regard to this property. Rezoning, or not necessarily rezoning, sorry, reconfiguring by getting a new survey may allow us to address the nonconformance of that front lot. It may. I don't know if there's enough space here just based on my eye, but it may, and that would then be an issue that absolutely should be addressed if we're not allowed to do what we requested tonight, which is just allow access through a 33-foot road that was a vacated county road that they basically sold to the then owners of the property.
Really, you're creating your own hardship because you already, you got the 66-foot frontage thing that you're going to have to battle. And if you leave it all as one parcel, there's no hardship. If you try to split it off into two different saleable parcels, you're creating yourself a hardship because then you obviously can't have landlocked property. So I don't.
And to address that point, currently it is two parcels. There's actually three parcels there. So we're not technically asking for a split until we do ask for a change in the actual survey. At this point, all they're requesting is access to a property that should be saleable as an individual lot, as an individual parcel.
Well, taking all of that into consideration, I don't feel very good about that. I think that we need to explore the idea, and I don't want to create hardship as far as expense, but I think in order to get this cleaned up and straightened out, you know how this happened. This is just an old cow path, and when the road went through, this is the way it shook out. I didn't even know that 003
I
was
didn't either.
there, was part of it. I don't think that was part of our
Well,
discussion.
you hadn't seen a survey before
Yeah.
tonight. That's my
And
understanding.
I think
So-
I think that we need to explore that a little bit. If truly what you want are two parcels with two access points on the lake, you're gonna have to reconfigure the whole dang deal. And
That point is uncontested. You're correct.
that'll make more sense.
And that is true, Hope, but you're still going to battle the 66-foot.
Yeah.
Well, and frankly, we've spoken about possible alternatives there. I think that that's something that if we can remain on the board hearing schedule in the future and come up with a solution to that, we're just getting started.
So then when you, then will this become R1? Is that your goal? Because this is all R1 here, right?
At this, we're not requesting any change in zoning at this point, merely a variance.
Do you know what the zoning is now?
Well, I believe it's R1. It's in the
It
shoreline.
would be R1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then maybe, then,
I think it would be good to get the 009 property out of nonconformance, so that if something does happen there, that's the point that the assessor made, was if something would happen to the cottage, there really is no value in that property. And the other thing that comes up is, how are you going to handle this very small area of lake frontage?
Yeah.
And how's that going to work? And when you say condo, you're going to filter 10 different condos down here to this one little access point, and then what happens when we start talking about piers and setbacks and that kind of stuff. So I think it would behoove you to just explore that as far as you can, to make that into two saleable parcels that both have lake rights, and then it will be more pleasing as a sale item. It's going to take some expense, but as long as we don't need to do any rezoning, I think that gives you some time to work this through, bring it back through our planning commission and back to us, and then we'll send it on to the county. Have you talked at all to the county? Have they had any?
I haven't at this point. I got involved late in the game.
Yeah.
This is my first appearance on this case, so that's
And I
the
haven't
next
had
call.
any
I mean,
conversation with the county
survey
board
or
either.
county, that's the route that
Yeah.
I'm going, so.
What's your experience with this?
Well, during the planning commission meeting, the whole issue was about the driveway and the easement.
Yeah.
Not approving an easement would be really tough to get by to allow access to that back.
Yeah, it sets a precedent for
So
us, you know.
The whole lakefront or the whole frontage wasn't discussed at all as an issue, because that's really not done on our level. It was just the driveway and the feet, 66 feet.
Well, it certainly is a unique parcel.
Yeah.
Certainly has a unique history. Well, one of the suggestions was made to try to purchase the other 33 feet. I'm sure that isn't a pleasing idea, but it might be a solution that would make everybody happy. I don't know. I think you should explore those things and then bring it back to us. I thought our assessor, we have a new assessor. We haven't been working with him very long. We spent 2 long hours. Did I say that? He did have some experience, and he had some suggestions, and I thought that his idea on the non-conforming lot was pretty right on, so.
So what I'm hearing is that basically you'll hold this open and you'll allow
Oh,
us
sure.
to
Sure.
reapproach the planning commission next month or down the road.
Yeah, do a little work on getting it reconfigured and/or purchasing another 33 feet or whatever solution, you know, I think you should throw them all up in the air and see what happens, and then we'll go back at it.
Excellent.
And then if there is some need for a zoning change, I mean, that would be down the line. So let's say the parcels are reconfigured and this lot is bigger and this one stands as one whole unit, then if someone wants to come in and build multiple houses or a condo development, then that would be the time to have it rezoned. I understand the variance process, really, you've created, we have a hardship, but it's kind of self-created, so.
Right, exactly. The other thing is, I don't know how the county views, this could be a used to could. You used to be able to have a privately owned public road.
Absolutely can. The
So-
same requirements regarding accessing that apply, 66 feet.
Right, you know, so you may be able to wiggle around a little bit, but
The necessity argument is legitimate. It absolutely is. You may not be able to move forward on that tonight because there's still things that aren't addressed about this property at this point.
Right.
But it is a very legitimate argument. It's necessity dictates. It's as simple as that.
Okay, I know it's been frustrating, but I think that's the best we should give our opinion and try to help you work it out. Our assessor made it very clear that we are not land information experts. I guess I knew that. But that other land information experts need to be involved in order to straighten it out and bring it forward to us again.
Thank you very
All
much for
right,
your time.
thanks very much. Thanks.
The next plan commission meeting would be July.
Yeah,
5th, so
that is something to think about. Our next planning commission meeting is July 5th. It's the day right after the 4th of July, so don't let that slide off your radar. Nothing to do in the town of Lake Mills. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for attending. Don't you want to stay? You might want to hear some more about dog licenses or,
yeah, there you go.
I have that, or do
thank
have
you.
that?
You can edit out the commercials, right?
Thank you. Item B, discussion and decision on a kennel license for Sam Garst at N6974 Lakeview Road.
I put that on the agenda because about a month ago, it was right after our last meeting, he called me and said that he had gotten a third dog and had gone to get it licensed and found out that he was going to need a kennel license. First he'd heard of such a thing. So I called Deb at the county to see what he needed to do, and she said, oh, I'll just call him directly. And I haven't heard another word about it, but I put it on there just in case there would be something that came through, and there hasn't been, so. Not really anything to do.
Sam isn't here. You guys, I know, will want to say something, so go right ahead. Tell us who you are and
Ray Bird and my wife Carol, and we're on the north side of the lake on Lakeview Road, and at this point in time we're in opposition to having a kennel license anywhere in our residential neighborhood. It's zoned as R1, and a little bit of concern is the fact that it would be a kennel license and what would be stopping anybody from, once they receive that license, to pursue having numerous dogs right in our immediate neighborhood.
Why don't I do a little explaining about kennel licensing? We live in a rural township, you know that. You've heard us probably in the last few months, we have an incredible problem. We are the fiduciary, I will say, and the public servant of the dog licensing program. And so it's our job to notify the taxpayers, which a notice goes out in everyone's tax bill that they must pay their dog license. And the reason for the dog license is, number one, to make sure that all the dogs are vaccinated for rabies. We have a heck of a time collecting all of those dog licenses. Some of them, you heard tonight, are going to go to citation. Quite often we find out that a home or a property owner has more than 3 dogs. Our ordinance reads that at 3 dogs, you need a kennel license. The kennel license goes to that individual. And we have several individuals in semi-urban areas who have maybe 3 dogs and they're breeding dogs. Their puppies, our license says that when the puppies are 6 months old, then they need to have a license. So this is really the only ordinance we have that controls dogs running at large, unlicensed, and it's our duty to make sure that they are vaccinated for rabies. We've had several incidents where we've had people who may have 3 or 4 dogs, they're having puppies, or they have 4 dogs and one of them is getting old, and they don't feel like they need to have the kennel license. The first thing you need to know is that the kennel license does not stick with the property. It goes individually to that person. This is really the only means we have to control things like puppy mills or someone who decides to have a boarding kennel without notifying anybody. It's the only means that we have to control that. So when we discovered that Sam had 3 dogs, it's kind of up to him now to decide whether he wants to keep the 3 dogs, whether he wants to pare down to 2 dogs. Maybe he's in a situation where 1 dog is old and he got a new one because he always wants to have 2 dogs. We've had that. We have given some conditions to some people who have dog or kennel licenses that they should notify us as their dogs depart the earth. There's a lot of follow-up that needs to go
They're
along
supposed
with
to do that
that.
anyway.
Yeah, right.
And people don't understand that, and they get irate.
How are we to know that your dog died in January and you didn't license it,
But theirs are supposed to be reviewed every 2 years.
Well, we made some conditions like that,
Yeah.
right?
And some of them.
So I guess I want you to understand that. It's only a technicality. I don't think Sam is planning to have a puppy mill. I don't think Sam is planning to have a breeding kennel or that he's planning to do doggy daycare or any of that stuff. He just needs to conform with our kennel license if he has 3 animals.
Okay, my question then would be is, if turn of events happens that he does have more dogs, either watching dogs or taking care of dogs or kennel, or what's to stop him from pursuing more with more animals? And we have 2 other neighbors with 2 dogs already. What's to stop them from doing the same thing and possibly getting a kennel license and maybe even having a kennel?
I guess what would stop them is you complaining about it, That's the
It
process.
seems like I haven't done too good of a job so far because I'm complaining and I'm not sure I'm getting a proper response.
Well, it's kind of unusual that Sam would not be here to stand
Yes, I
up
thought
for
it was too,
himself.
because
He has not applied for the kennel license yet.
I would like to see him
I
speak to
certainly
him.
understand your opinion,
Yeah,
but I think we have to kind of wait and see how this shakes out, We, as the fiduciary and the carers of the public health, we have to be the ones who license those 3 dogs. And whether he's got 1 under the bed and he's got the other 2 licensed, I want all those dogs licensed so that I know that they're vaccinated.
and as far as, is there a in-between where you can make an exception for somebody to have a 3rd dog for a period of time as opposed to
Well,
getting a kennel license?
that's what Dave was talking about. We still insisted that she have a kennel license, but we were to review the number of dogs every other year so that we could understand where she was going with her dogs.
And then other neighbors would apply, they would go through the same process, or, so R1 really does not stop anybody from having multiple dogs or dozen dogs or anything like that. Well, I came here, I suppose we had contact with a couple of neighbors and were opposed to it as it stands now. I don't think we would be opposed if it was an exception made for another dog, if one's elderly or that. But as far as the kennel goes, yeah, we are in complete opposition to that taking place.
Okay,
Okay.
let's wait and see how it spins out, you know.
Okay.
Sam decides to license all of his dogs, then he'll have to go through the process. But I don't
And
think
we'll-
his intention, I don't know what his
But I
intention is.
mean, would it be
You-
considered a kennel license then, or is it just an exception?
If you have more than 2 dogs, your license goes to a kennel situation.
So there's no exception for a third dog, it has to go to a kennel? And then once the kennel is approved, I mean,
Well, I think there's a distinction there between, I mean, you're thinking of like a conditional use to run a kennel
yeah,
versus just a license that then lists 3 dogs versus the simple method of doing the license, which goes to the first and the second.
yeah, it's just like I mentioned, we have 2 other neighbors with 2 dogs. If they were to approach doing the same thing, what would be to stop them from actually having a kennel?
I don't think any of your neighbors are going into the kennel
I hope not.
business. I don't think they're going into
Still would
the
need
kennel
a
business.
conditional use
Right,
and
Yeah.
and
Yes.
if it's key to
everything.
that, then that would go through an entire county process also, which would be notifying the neighbors would be part of that, you would be
No,
well
they
aware.
would be getting it, they would be actually getting a
So-
conditional use in their zoning
Right.
for that.
Well, hope.
Which I highly doubt that we would allow,
Yeah, if
you
you're
know,
gonna
in
try
a
to run a
residential area.
business
Yeah.
with
So-
it, you need a different kind
Under
of,
the
different kind
circum-
of application.
Okay, under the circumstances, I would like to see Sam. I haven't seen him for a long time. And it's, you know, I
Let's
just,
see how he approaches us.
yeah,
If you take note here in new business, another item for discussion, and we have been asked for opinion by county zoning, they are entertaining and changing the licensing to include mini pigs and keeping bees. Now, how would you feel if your neighbor had 3 mini pigs? Maybe a little differently than you would feel if you had 3
I
dogs.
think I would probably oppose that just because of farm animals in a residential area. I think I would have to be opposed to
Exactly.
something like that.
Yeah. It is one of those, you know, urban, rural, township sort of issues
Yeah.
that we struggle with. So, just so you know, I don't know where he's at. He has not
I
applied.
haven't heard from him since that day that and like I said, it was an accident. He
Yeah.
got the 3rd dog and he then found out that meant it was a
Was that a
different
period of time
process.
ago, or-
So, it was about a month ago.
A month ago.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
we've
we
got a
haven't
few-
seen him actually for quite a while, so.
We've got a few people
I'll
on
follow up with
Shorewood
them.
Hills Road that have 3 little dogs, you know, and it's like, okay, are they getting a kennel license? They pretty much just
Yeah.
go the other
Yeah,
direction.
nobody wants a kennel license.
Well-
All right.
I'll follow up with him, see what's
All right, well, stay tuned, okay? Thanks for coming.
How will we know what's going on?
How will you know what's going on? Every month, everything is published. We have a very
It's not
complete,
published, it's not in the paper.
Posted.
it's posted, but everything
the
is on our
Watertown Daily.
website. And our agendas are always in the Watertown Daily Times, so stay tuned. What did I say the other day? Never miss a meeting?
I've got your email.
No, but stay tuned, and you know, we are on cable TV, that's why Damien is here, we're on cable network, so you can follow up. And both of us are always available to take questions along with these people. Give us a shout, okay? Good, thanks for coming. Item C, discussion and decision on liquor, malt, tobacco, non-intoxicating operator and manager license applications for annual renewal.
Okay, I have a addition that was in the mailbox. Do you have George Brightsman down there? Okay, good. So they had a chance to look at it.
and bees and puppies and... Okay, how should we do this?
We should do this one first, because it's on here first, right? Yep. And the operators and manager licenses second.
So, just to get things rolling, 2016 malt liquor, non-intoxicating beverage, cigarette and tobacco operators license. The first one is a combo Class A liquor and malt renewal for the Lake Mills Inc., which is the Lake Mills Travel Plaza at N 6947 Highway 89. And Merrick and Associates LLC for a future liquor store on the corner of Highway V and 89 at W 7655. I would motion to approve these combo class liquor and malt renewals.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the combo Class A liquor licenses, please say say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say B. All right, combo Class B liquor and malt renewals will go to Larry M. Homschild at Moe's Place at N 6810 Highway B, Rutabaga Farm, Inc., which is also known as the Krogville Oasis, Jeffrey Baumgardner, at N 5942 County Highway O in Waterloo, and to T&D Ready Incorporated, which is the London Depot at W 9696 East Main Street in London or Cambridge.
Make a motion to approve those three.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, the same sign. Combo Class B liquor and malt renewals are approved. Cigarette and tobacco products over the counter. Those who have applied are the Lake Mills Inc., which is the Lake Mills Travel Plaza, Rutabaga Farm, Krogville Oasis, T&D Ready Incorporated, London Depot. I would motion to approve the cigarette and tobacco products over the counter for those three applicants.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the cigarette and tobacco products, please say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, the same sign. Non-intoxicating beverage licenses. Larry Homschild at Moe's Place, Lake Mills Inc. at Lake Mills Travel Plaza, Rutabaga Farm, Krogville Oasis, T&D Ready Inc. at London Depot. I would motion to approve the non-intoxicating beverage licenses.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the four applicants, please say aye. Aye, and all opposed, the same sign. Now, you're gonna have to help me with this. There are two managers' licenses, one for H. Singh at Lake Mills Travel Plaza and one for J. Baumgardner at the Krogville Oasis.
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
You only ran the new ones. Nobody looked at the old.
Correct.
No, yes.
We might want to
I only
change
gave
that.
you the new.
We might want to change that for next year.
All right. All right, make a note on there. We have a motion, don't we?
Yes.
And we have a second. All in favor of approving the two managers' licenses, please say aye. Aye, and all opposed, the same sign. Hearing none, the managers are approved. Operators' licenses. Jill R. De Luna, Lake Mills Travel Plaza. Cilicerio Carrillo, Lake Mills Travel Plaza. Lori Berger, Lake Mills Travel Plaza. Andrea J. Zimmerman, Moe's Place. Jeremy Zimmerman, Moe's Place. Heather Newhouse, Moe's Place. Zachary Roberts, Moe's Place. Heather Williams, Moe's Place. Jeremy Dorsey, Krogville Oasis. Linnea McIntosh, Krogville Oasis. Christopher Weichman, Krogville Oasis. Michelle Morgan, London Depot. Becky Reddy, London Depot. Nathan Johnson, London Depot. Melinda Strobush, London Depot. We usually ask our police department to go over the operators' licenses to see if there's anything amiss. What have you found, Sergeant?
As far as Linnea McIntosh, George, is it Breitzman? I believe.
Oh, that's
That's the new
that's the
one.
one that's added, George Braitzman.
Okay.
Okay,
Jill DeLuna, those were all cleared by Chief Miller. For Jeremy Dorsey, that one is going to be left to you guys to decide. He does have a guilty conviction of possession of cocaine from last year in September.
Felony?
That was a misdemeanor.
Okay.
what's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion to approve the operators that Hope listed.
And I'll second that. Is there any discussion?
The only thing is, for Jeremy's, because it's not a felony, and that's kind of where our break is, if it was a felony conviction, even though it's not a good thing.
Any other comments? All in favor of approving the operator's license as listed, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Thank you.
And the other thing is if he filled out his application, properly.
Did he claim it?
He circled that.
Yeah, he did.
He circled that he was convicted of a felony, but the traffic case that he posted, I just looked it up, was operating without insurance, which is not a felony at all.
So that would be the two things. We fill out the application correctly and then,
No, he didn't. He wrote, have you been convicted of a felony or of violating any law of the state of Wisconsin?
sorry.
He wrote no, so that one goes back. Oh wait, no, that
So
was
when I
Jeremy.
circled yes.
Sorry, George, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong
That
one.
was George.
Sorry.
Okay.
However, he did not, if this is his handwriting, if he filled this out, the only one he put on here was a traffic violation. He did not put the criminal misdemeanor.
Yep, you're right.
It was in September. Now, I don't know when he filled this out. I guess I didn't see a date on here. So he may not have been convicted of that at that time.
May 16th is when he had it notarized.
So
May 2nd, I'm sorry, May 2nd of 2016.
Of this year?
Yes. On the bottom corner of
I can look up when he was convicted. So as far as that goes, judgment and conviction was May 24th.
so then it was
Okay.
after.
Yep.
After that. Okay,
So he filled it out truthfully then.
we've had a number of these licenses that have not been filled out truthfully, and we've sent them back for reconsideration, so. All right, so we have the operators all approved.
Yep.
Let's see. Number 9 is old business. An update on the Shorewood Hills North Phase 3, discussion and decision. Basically, Jason asked us to take that off the agenda, and in order for everyone to be informed, he has formed a new LLC, which is called Kason, K-A-S-O-N Incorporated. So if you see that on the agenda, we will try to add Shorewood Hills North, but you may see that someplace else along the way. We basically sent him home and said, get your engineering together, have our engineer review it.
You had asked me to forward that and I missed it, so that's a printout of that email from Christine.
Right, we did have a short opinion from
So
Christine,
That's for you guys.
who is our engineer with Ayers and Associates. They would be reviewing this. Again, I asked them for a timeline of how they might be bringing forward the details, and they agreed to provide that. So just stay tuned for
I'm
that.
also giving you the draft of the minutes of the plan commission meeting that he
Which,
presented.
I said the planning commission minutes are usually drafted the night of the planning commission, so they usually hit the internet the next day, right?
Not necessarily, no.
But quickly after that, because our meeting is then 7 days later. So if you need information and you are not here, you can certainly get it from Sarah or I, or any one of these other board members,
Yeah.
along with the timeline and the things that he has decided to put forward. Go ahead, take the podium.
My name is Bill Moker. I live at Lot 56, which is, as you're well aware, that's you know where I'm at. And to your point, the rain we got, my yard again flooded out from that rain that you were talking about just the other day at 2 inches. We noticed that the property has now been cited. It looks like there's stakes being put in for a road. Is that correct?
That would be my guess, but I don't know. I'm assuming it was the road and also topples, because they were just using maps before. So I think they physically probably went out and shot grades.
Yeah, that's what, because I know that my neighbor noticed that they were just putting them up the very next day. We noticed that they were out there. In regards to a timeline, does that mean that something has actually been approved? No, okay.
He's purchased the property.
No.
That's
That-
what
that-
And he actually has not purchased it either. The property has two conditions. One, town
he
and
did.
county approval,
He-
and also the financing.
he closed on it on Friday.
I know he was supposed to close on the 10th.
Yeah, that was Friday. He did.
Okay.
So we only asked him to bring us a timeline because he approached us the last week of the month after Memorial Day, that Thursday, and they approached our engineer at the same time, and I believe they thought that we were gonna have it all put together by our planning commission meeting, which was on the 7th.
Yeah, that's really kind of the impression we got is
No, we're
that,
not doing that. We gave him, he needs to give us 10 days' notice in order to hit an agenda. And what I directed him to do was to have his engineering put forward and get it to our engineer. We're not engineers. And have them review it, give them some reasonable time to review it, and then we'll have the results from that review.
and do you know, once it hits the agenda, will we have, like at the time we had for public opinion, what was it, February? Where we had everybody here before, that will also happen as well, so.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the things we noticed is that I was looking at the website and suddenly we saw it on there again. And I was like, it wasn't on there just a few days before, it didn't seem
We
like
didn't
it's.
have that much
Okay,
time.
okay.
Yep.
So that's why we asked him for a timeline of what he might be working towards.
Okay, and this, you had mentioned that the case on, so that's the company that's actually, or the LLC that's actually purchasing the property?
I'm sure he's formed that LLC in order to protect his other corporation.
Right, yeah, so, okay.
And I am not aware of, did it change hands or not? I'm not aware of that. We looked at the engineering again. There were some questions about accessibility to the bioretention lots,
Yeah, it's, behind Steve's.
maintenance of thereof, and who would be responsible for the maintenance of that. If those outlots need to be redesigned or reconfigured in any other way, that would be a replatting process that would include the county in their approval. So there are many details that have to be
Right,
worked
okay,
out.
okay, all right, thank you.
Good. Stay tuned. Never miss a meeting. Always look at the website. Have any questions? Call your neighbors. Because we're your neighbors. We're all in this together.
Literally.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
Item B, the open of
Yeah,
bids.
that was my
We
mistake.
took that off. We are going to
It's
be
supposed to be
opening
July.
those bids on the 20th of June and discussing and making a decision on our 3-year snow contract.
No, they're due on the 20th of June.
We're going to be looking at them and doing that in July, at our July meeting, which is what, the 12th? Can't remember.
It is.
I think
July
it is the
12th, yeah.
12th. Well, it's right here, July 12th.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I knew that.
I don't know, discussion and decision on road bids? We don't really have any road bids.
No, but Dave was right, we do have to do a resolution for the
Oh,
county road aid petition. The one that we were looking at was theirs, but we have one also.
okay. So how are we gonna do
Found it
this?
when we did the, just read it, I guess.
We
You
just
want me
have
to
to,
read it?
we have to give it a number, right?
Yep,
You're sick of listening to me.
We only have one so far this year. Town of Lake Mills, Jefferson County, Wisconsin hereby petitions the Board of Supervisors of the County of Jefferson as follows, that heretofore to wit, on the 14th day of June 2016, at a lawful meeting of the governing body of said municipality, a resolution was duly adapted to appropriate funds for the improvement of highways in said municipality at a cost estimated as follows. Local municipality share $3,788, County of Jefferson share $3,788, for a total of $7,576. That the County of Jefferson share of the appropriation does not exceed the maximum of $100 per mile of local roads in said municipality. That said municipality is willing to abide by the rules set forth in Resolution Number 2005-02, adopted April 19, 2005, and to offer the Jefferson County Highway Department a right of first refusal for the work. According to the resolution, Town of Lake Mills takes the position that we will participate in county road aid this year. Yeah. Is that enough?
Yeah, that's plenty.
Resolution 2016-02.
2016-02.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2016-02, the county highway, aid
Petition.
matching funds.
Thank you.
And I'll second that. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the resolution, please say aye. Aye. And all opposed, the same sign. So they're gonna get their money and then we gotta try to get it back out of them, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good luck. Yeah, on that note, I am going to prepare a bid document for the gravel and grading that we need, the wedging for Elm Point and Helena, and Conservation Road. Those three projects. I think we should bid them. And then we'll go out and do that.
Okay.
Make sense?
Did you want to, just for future thought, start preparing a bid for Newville Road for 2017?
Well, I think our first step should be to talk with our engineers. We don't want to hear that, but I don't want to ever get in that pickle again. I think we should have a little engineering help. I know you don't like that, but I don't want to ever get in that pickle again.
Well, it's just, you have to,
Do you want to bid those culverts?
yes, we should.
Let's bid the culverts along with the gravel and the grading and see where we're at with that. How's that?
Yep.
All right. Okay. Moving on to new business. Item A, discussion on Jefferson County zoning, possible ordinance revision regarding mini pigs and bees. The information we received is very lengthy
Yes.
and interesting. What say you guys? Anybody in the public want to say something about mini pigs or bees? Jefferson County has been approached, the zoning committee has been approached by a lady who lives within the county who would like to have mini pigs. And it is now currently against zoning regulations to have farm animals in an R1, 2, and 3 zone. And so they're asking the towns for their opinion on how they feel about it. I've sat in on a couple of county meetings and nobody seems to be really sure what the definition of a mini pig is. Calling them teacup pigs, but they are not pedigreed. No one really knows the size they get to, although they can get up to
Yeah, everything I read,
150.
yeah, everything said 50 to 150 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's no guarantee,
No.
because you could get that flu thing.
And the bees, I don't know about the bees. I guess if I'm sitting on a 3.5 acre lot like I am, certainly wouldn't bother any of my neighbors
Right.
if I had some beehives. Maybe not next to my house, but probably that would be deemed by common sense.
I could see in pollination fruit trees and berries and stuff like that, it would be all well and good, but I personally can see it both ways, but a pig is a pig is a pig, and bees in a densely populated area, I think, would just be an accident waiting to happen. And if you have, there's a lot of people that are sensitive to bees, and I can just see it being really an ugly thing. And I think they are farm animals, and if somebody wants to have a beehive, put them on the outskirts of town and let them fly into town, but don't put them into town. I think it could be dangerous. So.
Yeah, I'm going to be in favor of the bees. I know I read how there were 5 townships that do allow mini pigs in the state currently, so it's just an FYI that they rarely get pushed through.
And she's really working hard. I think maybe she wants to also breed and sell. So she's actually been working with the county for about 8 months now to try to get this thing through. And even though when you start looking at something, it'd be kind of modeled as the same thing as dogs, but then, I don't know, where do you draw the line? You can't have a mini pig over 80 pounds. You can have a 110-pound dog.
Yeah, the ordinances are talking about putting weight limits, having it chipped, microchipped, and just having, like I said, size regulations and the quantity of them. It was kind of like more or less a selling guide of how to get it through your planning commission.
Right, yeah, exactly. I don't know, I'm not really...
But then enforcement and everything else, it just is.
Well, that's the thing. How much government do you want? Do you want somebody to tell you how big your mini pig can be? Do you want somebody to tell you how big your dog can be?
Yeah. And it has to pass by, 3/4 of the townships in Jefferson County before they will change the text amendment?
Yeah.
Do they have a limitation on the hives and the pigs? Did they mention that at all, or?
On the pigs, it kind of shadow the dogs.
Dog.
Yeah, the ordinance would be like
Probably
2,
have
and then
2 of those, and then need a
get your pig kennel.
get your pig kennel.
The worst of us, a pig naturally ruts. So...
And you're gonna have it in your living room.
That's the thing where the mini pigs are in the house now, and use the litter.
That's what they're talking about.
Not me,
I'm joining your club.
Well, do we want to make a recommendation to county zoning? Do you want to just float this into the public and talk about this again in July? Are they,
I think so, because I know it's on the planning commission's agenda for next
is it?
in July, and we hadn't talked about it yet. So I'd like to get.
So Sarah, why don't you tell us where the public can read more about the ordinance and how they
I
have it?
haven't a clue, because this came to me from the county zoning department, so I honestly don't know
Okay.
where they can get more, but I can investigate that.
Why don't you do that and put something on the website about information on mini pigs? Because I'm sure they have some pro and con information.
And
And
there really
on the
wasn't
bees.
anything on bees. I didn't really read anything
Yeah.
on them, so.
Okay, I'll just ask Deb what she's heard since then, because this originally came to us back at the end of April, so.
Yeah, I think the bees are just hitchhiking along.
Yeah.
Because they've had some inquiries and there's not a whole lot of information out there. But hey, I tell you what, I'm not really super in favor of it unless somebody can convince me. So I'm all for public comment.
Yeah, I'd certainly like to hear from the rest of the town of Lake Mills on how they feel about it. I wouldn't want to make that decision.
Are you feeling warm and fuzzy over there?
How many bees have stingers?
Oh, yeah.
A bee is a bee, as a pig is a pig.
And they storm in the spring.
Sure. Okay, well, get the word out. See if anybody has any other information or would convince us otherwise. I'm getting the feeling that the three-member town board is feeling kind of negative on mini pigs and bees. It could cause more problems than it's worth. Item B, board expense sheet approval. Anybody got expenses? Okay, our favorite thing, number 11, correspondence.
Not much, actually. Got some more Simden annexation over by the new Culvers, just a notification that there's something going on. We have our updated Renewal Wisconsin Towns Association membership cards to pass out. And then we got something from Ryan Hastings, who is the race director for the Lake Mills Triathlon and other triathlons. And he wanted to be completely transparent, in his own words, about how he managed to anger John Herring when he was here. Apparently John had done the catering for the race in the past, and Ryan's company has a contract now with Panera, and so there was some hard feelings. So Ryan wanted to clear the air there, and he did attempt to talk with John after the fact and would like to work with him again and smooth things over, but he's not been able to get a hold of him yet. So he wanted us to know that that went on. Otherwise, the only other thing I heard about any of the special events over the weekend was actually not something I heard, but something I witnessed because I was riding it. We do have bike traffic going both ways on Cemetery Road. Theoretically, they shouldn't be because of the timing of the two races involved, but it is happening. So I think that potentially next year they should be when the riders of the short ride come out of North End Park, instead of going back on Cemetery, they should go up and around on Newville, and I think that would fix it.
Yeah, every year I bring that up. Every year they refuse to change it. And this year I did not bring it up because the answer has always been the same, is because there's such a time lapse from the riders coming in and going out. That's never ever been a problem.
It's not true. And
Yeah.
I was on the road with traffic going both ways and cars trying to get through.
And then-
I was right there in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So.
And if that is the case, then that it needs to be fixed. The other thing too is they always claim that when these bicyclists are traveling down the road, that the only time they're supposed to be more than single file is when they are passing, and that is really far from the truth, because on Highway S there was, I counted them, 6 bicycles wide. They were taking the whole lane, and they were probably about, I would say, 30 or 40 feet long, so there was like 5 or 6 bicycle long plus the whole lane wide. So.
And I don't know how I mean, I know that they put it in the rules and they specify you can't do that. I don't know how they can police that one.
Is that the try, or is that
That's the
Trek 100?
Other than that, I thought they did a really good job. They had Jefferson County was at some of the intersections, plus they also had a helper, so that most of the congested areas I thought was pretty well covered, at least the areas that I traveled.
Did they have a policeman down at Newville Airport Road?
I
They had a
wasn't
volunteer.
up there.
They didn't have a policeman at the bottom of it. They had a volunteer at the bottom,
Did
and they
they-
had another one at the top of the hill.
Okay, because I know a man who lives on Airport Road was trying to get home, and they were going 6, 7, 8 across the road up the hill on Airport Road, and the poor man, he was way over in the ditch, and he had to stop because the bicyclists wouldn't move over that he could get home. I mean, and they insisted on using, did you ride up Airport?
I did, yeah. They were supposed to go on Cool, and a couple weeks beforehand, they rode the course and saw the gravel, and decided instead of having bikes toppling on each other like dominoes, that they would go up Airport instead. And Cool isn't all that great either. There's that blind curve, And I've seen bikes in previous years going 4 across around that blind curve, and a car comes around the bend, and you're wiped out,
It's on the news.
Okay, I'm gonna make a suggestion.
It's on the news.
Oh, Trek 100 rider. I think you should
You were there
draft.
too.
I think
Well, I
you
went north.
I think you guys should
I know, but I'm just trying not
draft
to
a
be alone
letter.
here.
Draft a letter and explain that you were there and your concerns and send it off so that they have some time to think about it.
Okay.
It's like Dave said, they always say there's a gap there and there isn't two-way traffic, but it's never true. It's never true. And I think that we, as, again, the public servants in the public safety area, need to point that out to them, and if they can't make these changes, then they're gonna have to go someplace else and
It's
run the
only a
Trek
matter of time
100.
before somebody gets hit.
Exactly.
Okay, you write that letter,
Super.
please?
Yep.
At least we will have gotten that off our chests.
Give it to Jim, he'll take it.
He
I got
will.
connections.
You do have
Oh,
connections.
that's right, you do.
Both of
Yeah.
you do.
And so do you.
Yeah.
You both have connections. All right. I think it's very viable. I mean, as far as an event, all of these events, the triathlon, the Ragnar,
Did we hear anything about the Ragnar? I
Any
didn't
complaints? Because there's always complaints
hear a
every year
word
about
about
garbage.
it costs us a bunch of money to do it because we had extra police, on.
Well, we can charge
Was there
them for
any
that.
complaints about garbage this time, or?
No garbage complaints, no other complaints.
Ragnar,
I think people are kind of getting used to it, but I think what it does bring to our town and our city is a great deal of cash flow.
It's a ton of people.
So that can't be ignored, but at the same time, we need to be vigilant about the safety issues.
It's always kind of a disruption, but it's only
One
for a
visitor
short
man.
time.
Hold on to one.
As long, if somebody ever gets hurt, that's what.
Well, then all hell will break loose. So that's why I think it's important to draft those.
There's big trucks going on these roads. and-
We're supposed to-
If you put it on there, Sarah,
You're
you're
gonna be
gonna
so
read it.
excited to have this in your wallet. I know you are. Okay. Anything else?
No.
Item 12, meeting schedule. July 5th, again, is the Planning Commission at 8 PM here at the Town Hall. July 5th is also the Joint Rock Lake Committee meeting at 6 at City Hall. And July 12th is the next regular Town Board meeting at 8 PM. I would motion to adjourn the meeting.
I will second it.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All
Aye.
opposed?